Hello, good day. My name is Michael Lawrence T. Abejo, and I'll be discussing for this topic is requirement selection and competencies assessment process. The practice of civil engineering, professional responsibility, client civil engineering relationship, civil engineering service and specialization, selection of civil engineer and employment. The process of civil engineering, General. This manual addresses the procurement of civil services for a quality project. Quality, so ibig sabihin quality. Quality by the definition of satisfactory meeting both and the expectation of the client. So, syempre, kahit naman sino siguro, pinaprioritize nila yung quality. So, professional responsibility. The standard of it's for civil engineers to be given responsibility for studying, conserving, designing, observing, construction, and assisting. So, professional responsibility. So, as engineer, kailangan natin tong isa pang sarili. Kasi nga, ito yung mga tinatawag nating kailangan as professional engineer. Second, the health and safety. So, syempre, sa unang-una talagang pinaprioritize ang health and safety. Civil engineers shall conduct themselves in highly professional manner. Syempre naman, pag engineer, kailangan sabihin natin na sa unang-una sa pananamit, kailangan natin na mag-dress as professional and sa the way we talk, the way we speak, and syempre sa pakikipagtungo. Care and protection of the environment. Syempre, unang-una, isa-survey natin ang ating mga kapaligiran kung may masisira ba na makakasira ba sa ecosystem ang mga ating gagawin or sa ating mga project. And for the last, civil engineer must always strive to maintain the highest standard of ethical professional practices. Always strive to maintain the highest standard. So, alam nyo na yan. Siyempre, tinuturo yan sa atin. And, ethical professional practices. So, sa ating sunod, professional responsibility. The role of engineer in society. So, ito na. Ito na yung role natin kung bakit tayo tinatawag na engineer and kung anong ating mga gagawin sa ating mga sa ating society, kung anong pwedeng ating maitulong sa society. So, first, we argue the practice of engineering does not exist outside the domain of societal interest. That is, the practice of engineer has inherent and avoidable impact on society. Engineering is based upon the relationship with society. Relationship with society. An engineer conducts as a capture a professional codes of conduct towards other engineers, towards employers, towards clients, and toward to the public of essential part of the life of professional engineer. Yet, the education process and professional societies pay inadequate attention to the area. In one of Adax Skoglund's definition of the professional ethics, how we argue the relate of the one another. Civil engineers are responsible for creating, improving, and protecting our immediate environment. So, kagaya nga ng sinabi ko kanina, na kailangan nating, syempre, tayong taga-isip, taga-plan, and bukod doon, kailangan natin na pangalagaan ng ating environment. Alam natin kung anong makakasira sa tama o sa mali. They plan. Unang-una, they plan. As engineer, we plan and oversee construction and rebuilding, as well as the maintenance of roads, bridges, tunnels, railways, dams, harbor, power plants, and airports. So, syempre, siguro sa lahat naman and constructing, tayo nagpa-plan syempre kung paano maging mapatibay o kahit ano man, alam naman siguro natin kung anong ginagawa ng engineer. So, let's proceed. And dito naman sa client-civil engineer relationship. Many publics and private entities of necessity rely on civil engineer as their employees. Independent civil engineering firms are also relied upon the accomplished project, which will require special expertise beyond the normal capabilities of the client. More recently, clients has been utilizing new concepts such as program management and design builds to implement projects. Proper relationship between civil engineers and their public and private clients. So, ito na. Siyempre, para din naman tayo nagbi-business. Kung 'di ba sa business, kailangan nating pakitunguhan, kausapin. So, ganun din naman dito. Obligation of the civil engineer. Obligation of the clients, liability of the civil engineer and the client. Ito yung mga point na kailangan nating sa isip. Limitation or civil engineering responsibility, damage, suspension or termination of service, settlement of disputes, owner of data, design and documents. So, dito na tayo sa obligation of the civil engineer. The obligation of the civil engineer includes 1. First, the civil engineer shall perform scope of service and state in section 2. In civil engineer shall exercise reasonable skill, care, and diligence on performance of his obligations. Siyempre, dahil engineer, kailangan natin ng unang-una, skills. Kung paano natin compute ang bawat galaw o ang bawat process ng ating i-build. Care and diligence of performance obligation. The civil engineer shall act independently and as required by contract perform with a necessary skill and professions. Judgment when required to certify, decides, or exercise discretion between the client and third party with whom the client has contract. The civil engineer is authorized to act the client faithful agent when required, but only as implied as Section 2 or implied in the contract adopted of the project. When aware of any matters which will charge of has changed the scope of the service, the civil engineer shall give written notice to the client containing particular changes. So, ito na yung tinatawag na kung magkakaroon tayo ng give written notice to the client containing particular changes. Bibigyan na sila natin ng letter or ipapaalam natin sa kanila kung mayroon tayong pagbabago ng plan kasi hindi naman sabi nga, hindi naman lahat ng plano ay nasusunod. Kailangan nga may mga backup plan, ganyan. When required to, the civil engineer shall direct and cooperate with all other professionals and integrate their works where applicable into their being undertaken by the civil engineer, other professionals, but shall not be professional liable for their work. The civil engineer may recommend a specialized supplier and the contractor to design and execute certain parts of the work, in which case of the civil engineer shall coordinate the design such a part of such parts with the overall design of the works, but he or she shall, the civil engineer shall not be liable acts on neglecting, default, or omission by such person or persons. The civil engineer shall notify the client of any interest the civil engineer has which of significant conflict with acts of the client under their contract. So, yun nga. Yun na yun. Di, joke lang. So, of under the client interest, civil engineer may significant conflict with interest. Siyempre, kailangan din natin ng, kung may pagbabago talaga, kailangan din tayong paliwanag. Siyempre, pero as dun sa una kong sinabi, kailangan na nasa proper manner pa rin. Obligation of the client. So, meron tayong tinatawag ding obligation of the client. Meron din tayong, so yung una, obligation ng engineer. So, ito naman yung obligation ng client. Obligation, the client shall pay the civil engineer has for his service. Siyempre, kailangan itong unang, kailangan. The amount of fees and expenses set of determined in their agreement. The client, so yon, syempre, kaya nga mayroon tayong tinatawag na contract, kung ilan yung nandun, yun din talaga dapat ang babayadan as client. The client shall provide the civil engineer within reasonable time that not result of delay provision of the service. Syempre, kung as client, kung magpapagawa ka naman ng kahit ano, syempre, kailangan yung time and date reasonable naman. Kung alangan naman, kunyari, isang araw lang tapos papagawa ka ng building, malabo naman yon. Yung reasonable dapat na time. All information required by the civil engineer in the performance of his services and this decision in writing in performance of his service and the decision of writing on all matters. Proper reference to the client in writing. So, kailangan palagi may kasulatan.
Good day, everyone. This topic is all about the 3 tips to build a great client-contractor relationships. So basically, this client-contractor relationship will help our construction project to become successful. And a successful client-contractor relationship can lead to a referral, repeat business, or even the words-of-mouth marketing. There are 3 factors that serves as the foundation of a client-contractor relationship. Number 1 is clear communication. Clear communication is a fundamental aspect of any relationship, personal or professional. Communication does not begin when the contract is signed in the case of building projects. Rather, it begins the first time you meet with the customers to discuss the project so you can bid fairly and properly, ensuring you have a comprehensive knowledge of their quality expectations right from the start. Following that, relationship development entails at least one visit to the project site to ensure that everyone's vision is aligned. Finally, unless the customers have extensive building expertise, your team should utilize layperson's language rather than construction jargons, so clients don't get that impression that they are uneducated, so that they don't feel embarrassed or uneasy to stop and ask you to explain or clarify anything. So, for example, during the presentation, aware ka naman na yung client mo is walang masyadong alam sa construction jargons. So, as a contractor or as a presenter, ikaw na mismo yung mag-a-adjust sa kanya para mas maintindihan niya kung ano yung mga dinidiscuss nyo during the presentation. So, kailangan mong gumamit ng mga language na alam lang nila or yung mga terms in constructions na familiar sa kanila. It is advised that in order to clarify the client-contractor communication system, you, number 1, choose one point of contact. From the beginning, designate who the main person of contact will be. isa dun sa construction firm and isa naman dun is yung client's representative. So, having a primary decision maker on both sides, may iiwasan natin yung tinatawag na blaming games. Next is select a primary mode of communication. Check it to see which mode of communication makes the most sense for the client. So, pipiliin mo yung modes of communication na kung saan convenient para dun sa client. For example, yung younger generation, mas prefer nila yung text, emails, while yung iba naman, mas gusto nila yung phone calls, primary sources, so, ganun. Another one is establish payment terms and condition early on. It is essential that you clarify payment terms and conditions early on in the planning stages so nobody is caught unawares. When invoices are sent out or if the budget needs to be adjusted with respect to economic fluctuations, change orders, or other unexpected factors. Lastly, communicate via visuals. Visual communication is often as important, if not more important, than verbal communication when it comes to talking about project scope and design. The more clearly they can see what you are suggesting, the less confusion, disappointments, and or change orders there will be as the project progresses. So, for example, magpapresent tayo ng building design. So, kailangan during our presentations, meron tayong 3D model ng design natin or pwede naman tayong gumamit ng mga software like CADs, etc. Ganun, para mas ma-visualize ng client kung ano man yung pinagsasabi natin or kung ano man yung vision natin about dun sa project. So, sabi nga, open, clear, and honest communication is a stepping stone for an organized project. So, the next tip will be organization from start to finish. Project flexibility requires organization. It starts with a thorough review of the project scope and continues as you carefully plan your construction project timeline, schedule subcontractors, provide detailed project status updates, and conduct a detailed review and analysis at the project completion to determine what went well and what, if anything, could have been done differently. An organized relationship between the contractor and the client includes a written detailed description of the scope of the project. So, as much as you can, provide a step-by-step process for the client to review. This helps them to understand behind-the-scenes complexities that aren't always visible on the job site. Next is provide regular status updates. Determine a regular schedule of project updates that makes sense based on scope of the project. These updates serves as a way of communicate an unexpected delay or back orders in a more immediate manner, so push-back scheduling doesn't catch client unawares. For example, ikaw yung napiling representative ng construction firm, you have to set a meeting with your client para i-present kung ano man yung mga problems na ni-encountered nyo during the construction. Last is the phase or the project wrap-up and reviews. So, ginagawa to after matapos yung project. We can create a short to medium review that covers topics like which element of the project went well or exceeded expectations, what could have been communicated or executed more efficiently, are there other approaches that could have been implemented to get things done faster, better, or safer. So, by creating this document with the client, you ensure client feel includes in the entire process. And for the last tip, allow clients to feel a part of your team. Your effort is establishing clear communication channels, as well as disclosing the project timeable and delivering regular updates, all add to a sense of cooperation and teamwork. The more clients feel linked to your process, the more attached they will feel to your organizations, making it simpler to endure and unexpected disasters together and with a minimal of conflict or tension. So, with the cooperation and collaboration with the clients, we can improve the overall quality of the projects. Masasabi nating successful ang isang project kapag nasatisfied natin kung ano man yung gusto ng client. So, it is the feeling of we're all in this together that foster a sense of loyalty and respect from your clients. Those feelings will inspire them to refer your construction company to a friend, leave heartfelt encouraging online reviews, and contribute positive forward momentum to your company's brand. So, all of which bring future contracts to your door. That's all, guys. Remember the 3 tips. First is clear communication. Next is organization from start to finish. And allow clients to feel a part of your project. Thank you.
Topic 3. Importance of client relationships in construction. A close working relationship between client and contractor is important for any project success. The success of any engineering project often revolves around the quality of the relationship between client and service provider. A good working relationship should be based on trust and understanding between all parties, and if managed correctly, this can lead to a more permanent contract between all parties, and through good relationship management can be fruitfully beneficial to both parties for the longer term. Construction client management. The services that engineers provide are often not charged until the end of a project or even for some time after. The client's experience and word of mouth is very powerful in the industrial world, as it can both lead to new project wins or result in the loss of potential contracts. A client's experience will shape how they publicly talk about a project, even if the results are not yet available. While it does take time to build and maintain a strong working relationship, it is a cost-effective exercise that can improve productivity and efficiency. Equally, if not managed appropriately, complaints and misunderstandings can have a detrimental effect on the relationship, costing both time and money. Building relationships. With any client or project, it's important to lay the foundations and get to know who you are working with and build up a rapport by exploring how they like to work. Do they prefer weekly or daily calls? Perhaps they prefer everything to be done by email. Whatever the approach, it needs to be defined in the early stages. It isn't just about a single client though. Building relationships between individuals, whether they are the decision makers or not, is equally as important. Some projects may span across continents and require conversations in various languages, which brings their own set of challenges, further emphasizing the importance of establishing strong communication channels. Communicating the project brief. One way we manage larger integrated projects is by using building information modeling. By integrating information from a variety of sources linked with the construction or renovation of a facility. BIMs allow for the creation of a digital model of the plant. The level of detail in the model is dependent on the chosen BIM level. BIM is a collaborative process that is particularly useful when working with modular builds on prefabrication sites. By using one digital model that all contractors have access to, you can ensure that all prefabricated components fit into the facility. Clients will also have access to the model should they require a more in-depth update on the status of a project. Client collaboration can also be achieved through integrated project delivery, an alliance between suppliers and the client that aims to integrate the best aspects of people, systems, business structures, and practices. By using this system, clients become part of the team, ensuring all interests and objectives are aligned across every aspect of the project. Transparency is a key benefit of this particular model as costs, time frame, and progress are shared among all relevant parties, creating a sense of security and involvement. There is no one single way to perfectly manage a client relationship, as every project is different. Whatever model is chosen, communication remains key. Civil engineering services and specialization. Why is civil engineering important? Civil engineering is a professional discipline of engineering that deals with designing, constructing, and maintaining the natural and physically built environment. Civil engineers are responsible for the building of bridges, roads, skyscrapers, canals, dams, and other such big structures, creating the surroundings as we know it, improving and protecting our lives, generating sustainable energy in this era of fast depleting fuel and resources, ensuring the supply of clean water, since a world without that would be unimaginable. 7. Civil engineering field of specialization that you should take up. Civil engineering is the broadest of all other disciplines. People are taking up this course because of plenty of choices to specialize. Taking up civil engineering course would be less risky. Less risky in terms of employment availability, and aside from easy to find jobs, the compensation is really different from other careers. Number 1. Transportation engineering. Transportation engineering deals with planning and designing of infrastructure that could help in safe, efficient, and quality movement from one place to another. It includes highway design engineering, bridges and tunnels, railways, airports and airways, waterways, canals, and pipelines. Second is structural engineering. Analyze and design a structure that could resist applied loads. They works out material and sizes required for the particular structure that could make it durable, sustainable, and constructible. The lateral force of earthquake and wind are another detailed topic that could be specialized separately. Number 3. Construction engineering. Construction engineering brings the paperwork design to reality. Time, cost, and quality are tangible parameters of construction engineering. They confirm availability of material, equipment, and labor, identify any constraint and hazard, scope and trend, economical and safety aspect of a project. Geotechnical engineering. Concerned with the properties of soil and rocks on which the foundation of any structure have to be laid down. Properties of soil are so variable that it is very difficult to evaluate the soil mechanics. Experimentally work out soil types, bearing capacity, penetration tests, moisture content, and shear capacities. On the basis of this result, the foundation of a structure is designed. Material engineering. Material engineering is the study of material properties used for construction purpose. Traditionally used construction materials are steel, wood, and concrete. They works out to bring innovative materials such as addition of polymer and fabrics in reinforced concrete gives a high strength and flexible material. 6. Water resources engineering. Water resources engineering is the study of fluid mechanics, hydraulics, and water resource management. They study the natural cycle of water and work out methods to use it efficiently. They observe all natural water reservoirs and ways to preserve them. Design facilities for supply of water to localities and also design irrigation water supply system. 7. Last, environmental engineering. This is the branch of civil engineering that deals with the environmental feasibility of a project. This concerns with the treatment of water, solid waste, chemical and industrial effluent that may pollute the environment. Deals with energy efficient, environmentally friendly, sustainable, and green building construction techniques. It aims to provide safe drinking water, pollution-free environment, recycling of water and waste material, and renewable energy generation. The end. Thank you.
At this moment, we will be discussing about the selection of civil engineer, skills and competency requirements in the construction industry. So here was the highlight for today. Topic highlights. We will be talking about the civil engineer job specifications, such as civil engineer requirements, civil engineer job description, civil engineer responsibilities, job responsibilities, and duties and responsibilities of a civil engineer. So I'll give you a quote for this day. The engineer has been and is a maker of history, by James Kip Finch. So we will be talking about what is the civil engineer job specifications. This may include the vital skills, background for the position, and the qualified individuals. So we will be discussing about that skills that you need to have if you are going to apply to be a civil engineer, background for the position, and the qualification to be a civil engineer. So this is the requirements for the civil engineer. You must be a graduate of a bachelor's degree in civil engineer or related field. Registration or taking a licensure as a professional engineer may be required. You must be taken and pass the board exam, and you must have a 5 to 7 years of experience. You have to be familiarized with the design software such as Autodesk, AutoCAD Civil 3D, and MicroStation, Revit, and Risa 3D. Knowledge of map creation software and photo imaging software. You must have a strong and analytical and critical thinking skills. You must have an excellent time management skills and also have a leadership skills in order to communicate well with your colleagues. What do civil engineers do? Civil engineers are responsible for design, supervision, building, maintenance, and operation of construction systems and projects. Projects such as roads, tunnels, airports, buildings, bridge and water supply, and treatment systems. They must also work on with research, design, construction, and education. And the civil engineers must have a key abilities such as problem-solving skills to identify issues with designs or projects and find the proper solution. Next, you must have a critical thinking skills to present innovative solutions and improvements to technical processes. You must have a wealth of industry knowledge, be comfortable splitting their hours between the office, on-site visits, and attending council meetings. You must also have a communication skills, such as what I've said lately, that you must have a communication skills that is more important in this ability. You must learn how to communicate ideas and make recommendations and negotiate project details with their team, subcontractors, and clients to avoid misunderstanding and misinterpretation of data. You must have a great communication skills. You must learn how to communicate with your colleagues and other people around you to make your project smooth and well organized. That's it. So we will be discussing about the civil engineer responsibilities. What do civil engineers do? You must learn to be responsible in developing detailed design. Your design must be detailed enough for us to understand and to be present clearly and precisely, doing feasibility assessments and site inspections. And also you must know how to prepare and implementing project plans. And also it is your responsibility to have a research and providing estimates for projects, and in reviewing government regulations and ordinances, monitor and optimize safety procedures, production processes, and regulatory compliance, in making also recommendations and presenting alternative solutions to problem. It is your responsibility to make it that. It is also your responsibility to make it. Next, confidently liaising clients and other professional subcontractors. Project management duties. You must learn how to manage the duties of different people around your project. Who will be the one who will be doing this, doing that, to research and to comprehend or to interact with the other people around your way. Next, our job responsibility must be inspect project sites and monitor progress in order to us to show how the work is done conforms to safety standards and design specifications while determining if change or adjustments need to be made. Next, it is our job responsibility to test materials and soils in order to determine the strength of the steel, the concrete, asphalt, and the foundations of the building. And also we must know and we must be responsible enough to utilize the computer assisted design. It includes the planning and designing of various types of systems and structures including roadways, buildings, tunnels, water system, and water treatment plants. Next, we must also responsible to direct and participate in surveying. Ano alam? We are also responsible to direct and participate in surveying in order to lay out installations and establish grades, reference points, and elevations to properly guide construction in order to make our path and to make our project more precise and accurate. Next, we must be the one to determine the design specifications by computing the grade and load requirements and material stress factors. Next, we are the one responsible to manage and direct operations, construction, and maintenance activities being done at project sites. And also, we are the one responsible to prepare public reports on various topics, including deeds, bid proposals, property descriptions, and environmental impact statements. And also, we must be responsible to ensure that all activities comply with all environmental, governmental, safety regulations, and address all problems concerning actions that do not comply. We are the one to ensure that our activities will be in hand and on the go. Ganon. Next. What are the duties and responsibilities of a civil engineer? We are the one to assess the soil to select the right materials for a strong and secure foundation and structure in order to make our buildings strong and resourceful. Next, we are responsible to survey construction sites and lay out reference points, grades, installations, or elevations to provide guidance. Next, you are responsible to monitor construction projects to ensure health and safety compliance and adherence to design specifications. And lastly, you are responsible to present reports to the public detailing proposals, environmental impact, and other pertinent information. That is the responsibility and duty of a civil engineer. To become one, you must be. To sum it all up, if you want to be a civil engineer or to apply on a civil engineer job, you must be graduated a bachelor's degree in civil engineer or related field. You must been passed the board exam. You must have a 5 to 7 years of experience and have a skills in using the assisted software such as AutoCAD, MicroStation, Revit, and Resa. You must also know how to have a problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, wealth of industry knowledge, communication skills. And you must have to make your personality and your communication skills be more good with your colleagues and your workmates. And you must be responsible to assess, to survey, to monitor and present your projects, and to make your project environmental friendly and being complied and in compliance with the government rules and regulations. That's it. See you, future Padayon.
Good day. My topic is under the recruitment, selection, and competencies assessment process. So, charging for civil engineering services. So, in every action of man, there is an exchange to their efforts, be it good or bad. Civil engineers have experienced benefits and charges in exchange of their services as employee. I am Ian Lias Lumabi and I will further discuss and elaborate the advantages in the field of creators and makers of dreams to reality, civil engineering. So, we have 6 methods of charges for civil engineering services. First is the salary cost times multiplier plus direct non-salary expense, or reimbursable. The second one is hourly billing rates plus reimbursable. The third one is the per diem. Fourth, cost plus fixed fee or CPFF. The fifth one is the fixed price, and the last one, is the percentage of construction costs or percentage. First, I will discuss the reimbursable. So, what is reimbursable? So, reimbursable in short is to repay, refund, to pay back, or compensate. So, dito sa salary cost is defined as direct salaries plus employee benefits. Dito papasok yung mga sick leave, vacation, holiday, and incentive pay. For example, kapag ang isang empleyado ay buntis, pwede siyang mag-maternity leave pag manganganak. Tapos, pag magbabakasyon naman, meron naman talaga yung mga empleyadong tinatawag na vacation. Bayad pa rin yun kahit nasa bakasyon sila. Then, holiday. Most especially kapag Christmas, meron sila mga natatanggap na bonus, ganyan. And syempre yung mga goods. Depende sa empleyado kung magbibigay talaga sila. Next is yun nga, incentive pay. Papasok din doon yung mga bonus, mga iba pang other matter na related yung pera. Next is yung unemployment and other payroll taxes. Dito papasok yung mga contributions for social security, workers' compensation insurance, retirement, medical, and etc. So, sa employment and other payroll taxes, papasok dito yung sa SSS, sa mga PhilHealth, yung mga medical insurance natin. Yun. Next is the multiplier, which is applied to salary cost, is a factor that compensates the civil engineer for overhead or as defined hereinafter, plus a reasonable margin for contingencies, interest, or invested capital readiness to serve and profit. The size of the multiplier will vary with the type of service, the nature and experience of the civil engineering firm, and the geographic area in which its office is located. Background image, the average multiplier should be between 2.5 and 3.0 times the average salary cost. For some services, however, a higher multiplier is usually applicable for services requiring recommendations based on extensive experience and special knowledge, or for services involving expert testimony in legal proceedings. So, lahat naman ng mga procedures sa trabaho, kailangan is may legal procedures. And dito, sa multiplier, meron tayong required na average salary cost, which is between 2.5 and 3.0. Tama. And, ano pa? Next. The next one is yung direct non-salary expenses usually incurred in engineering engagements may include the following. Ito naman kanina is yung salary cost. Yung second one is yung multiplier. Then, ito yung direct non-salary expenses. Nandito yung living and traveling expenses, identifiable communication expenses, expenses for services and equipment directly applicable to the project, identifiable drafting supplies, stenographic supplies, and reproduction work, and expenses for unusual insurance and specialized health and safety programs. So, sa direct non-salary expenses, incurred in engineering engagements, kapag merong mga living and traveling expenses, papasok siguro dito yung kapag meron kayong training and seminar about sa mga related jobs, like yung construction material testing, mga ganon, siguro nagkakonduct yung mga company ng training and seminar, doon siguro papasok yung living and traveling expenses kapag may mga seminar, like pupunta kayong hotel, titigil kayo doon for 2 days, 3 days, tapos yung mga travel nyo, dito papasok sa direct non-salary expenses. Yan. Next is the pang 5. Ay, hindi. Ay, pang-4 pa lang. The civil engineer's overhead, which comprises a major portion of the compensation generated by the multiplier on salary costs, includes the following indirect costs. Ito naman yung mga indirect costs. So, provision for office expenses, tax and insurance other than those included as salary costs, library and periodical expenses, executive, administrative, accounting, legal, stenographic, and clerical salaries and expenses, or other than salaries included in salary costs and expenses. Business development expenses, provision for loss of productive time, and the last one is the cost of acquiring and maintaining computers, development of software, and training staff when not billed as direct costs. So, yun. Yun yung mga under example ng indirect costs, di ba? And the last one is yung accounting records. Under to ng ng reimbursable. So, accounting records include records of assets, liabilities, monetary transactions, ledgers, journals, and any supporting documents such as checks and invoices. So dito, sa accounting records, syempre, from the word records, ito yung mga kinikip ng mga empleyado as a record for some documents, like yung assets and liabilities, na alam naman nating lahat ng empleyado kailangan talaga or required na magbigay ng kanilang records for assets and liabilities. So, tapos na tayo sa number 1, yung salary cost times multiplier plus direct non-salary expense or reimbursable. Dadako tayo sa pangalawa, yung hourly billing rates plus reimbursable. So, sabi dito, the hourly billing rate method of compensation is very similar to the salary cost times multiplier method. So, parehas lang, medyo may similarity yung hourly billing rate method at saka yung salary cost times multiplier method. Pero sa hourly billing rate, nandito yung all direct personal expense, overhead, and profit. Ulit, nandito sa hourly billing rate, yung all direct personal expense, overhead, and profit. Direct non-salary expenses are a separate item for reimbursement, usually with a service charge. So dito sa direct non-salary expenses, iba siya sa reimbursement na tinatawag. Kadalasan daw, ito yung may mga service charge or masasabi nating incentives kapag hindi na sakob ng trabaho mo yung ginagawa mo. Like for example, meron kang project na ginagawa, then natapos mo na yung project mo, medyo maluwag pa yung oras mo, gumawa ka pa ng mga productive matter na makakatulong sa company nyo, doon papasok yung direct non-salary expenses na siguro in between na lang sa inyo ng boss mo at ng empleyado kung ano yung mga matatanggap mong service charge. Yung ganon. Then, the third one is the per diem or fixed charge per day. So, dito sa per diem, every day to binabayaran yung per day mo. Tama ba? Kasi similar to the multiplier approach, hourly billing rate plus reimbursable is based on the consultant cost that performs the service. It can be used for cases where the extent of the project is not certain. Moreover, the consultant and the owner should agree on specifying the expected range of the project and the methods for adjusting not to exceed amount. In the case, the cost closest to not to exceed amount, then the owner should be informed and provide modified cost estimate for the completion of project. This approach may be specified and employed in the case where the project range is not defined properly, simplified accounting, considerably short project assignment, the extent of the project is defined adequately, and on-site construction management services. So, yun yung per diem. Sabi dito, in the case the cost closest to not to exceed amount, then the owner should be informed and provide modified cost estimate for the completion of project. In case daw na yung magagastos is hindi naman mag-exceed, kailangan yung owner, ano ba tawag dito? Yung owner o yung contractor dapat aware or informed na yung amount is hindi mag-exceed para at least safe yung contract nyo, yung usapan yung dalawa or nung owner, diba? Para kung mag-exceed man, malalaman niya agad na yung amount ng project na to ay mag-exceed, at least magiging prepared siya sa dadagdag niya kung magkano pa, yon. Next is the cost plus fixed fee or the CPFF. So the per diem term is referred to an 8-hour per day. So dito, sa cost plus fixed fee, sa per diem is per day siya, di ba? Dito sabi, ang per diem term is referred to an 8-hour per day. Kasi usually yung mga nagtatrabaho talaga, mga empleyado, usually 8 hours talaga yung kanilang working hour. And yun yung dapat bayaran per day, yung 8 hours nila. So the cost of consultants who conduct the engineering service is the base for the per diem approach, as it is the case in the previous two methods. It is convenient to choose for charging engineering consultation services if the project scope is not outlined properly, and in the case where it is outlined adequately. Very short assignment and on-site construction management services. Similar to the per diem, hourly and multiplier method, cost plus fixed fee is dependent on the cost of consultants. So, itong cost plus fixed fee or CPFF, similar din siya dun sa per diem, hourly, and multiplier method. Pero ito is nakadepende sa cost of consultants. It can be used whether the extent of the project is outlined properly or not. Very complex project and suitable for on-site construction management services. So itong method na to, maganda siyang gamitin or suitable siyang gamitin for on-site construction management services. Yan. So under a cost plus fixed fee agreement, the civil engineer is reimbursed for the actual cost of all services and supplies related to the project, including, may mga factors tayo may be used to determine the compensation of the engineer for the services where the principal responsibility is the detailed design or construction supervision of facilities to be constructed. Second factors is the cost plus fixed fee as a prerequisite to equitable negotiations. Yung cost plus fixed fee natin kanina or yung CPFF, prerequisite siya nung equitable negotiations that the client and the civil engineer defined and agree upon the scope of services the civil engineer has to perform. Meron dito mga negotiations, di ba? Yung mga kliyente at yung civil engineer dapat dun pa lang parang fixed na yung amount or yung cost ng project na pag-uusapan nila. Yon, dapat malinaw, clear. So, is very similar to the salary cost times multiplier method in that the hourly billing rate includes all direct personal expense, overhead, and profit. Yung tulad nga kanina ng binasa ko, yung salary cost times multiplier method, in that the hourly billing rate includes dun yung mga personal expense natin, mga pangailangan talaga, personal matters natin. Yan. The civil engineer is required to start providing service before the detailed scope of services can be determined in the two considerations. So the fixed fee amount varies with the complexity and scope of the engineering services required. Yon. Then direct non-salary expenses, salary costs. The percentage fee shall not exceed. Yung percentage fee, ito, meron tayong mga percentage fee na kailangan nating parang pamantayan ba? Ganon. Na hindi mag-exceed dito yung fee na aanhin natin i-implement. So, una, yung feasibility studies, 3% siya. Yung detailed engineering design, 6%. Detailed architectural and engineering design, 8% yon. And the last one, yung construction supervision, ito yung malaking percentage which is 10%. Ulit, feasibility studies, 3%. Detailed engineering design, 6%. Yung detailed architectural and engineering design, 8% siya. And yung pinakamalaking percentage sa kanilang apat, yung construction supervision, which is 10%. So, ano nga ba ibig sabihin ng multiplier? So, civil engineering firms may elect to utilize this method of compensation on projects where the scope of service is not well defined or to simply accounting and record keeping. Fixed price compensation for basic services on certain design type projects can also be computed as an appropriate percentage of estimated construction costs. Ito, nire-refers din siya to an 8 hours day overhead. Ang lima, yung fixed price or lump sum. So, alam naman natin na by the term fixed price, yun na talagang price or the lump sum. Unlike other four methods discussed above, lump sum or fixed price approach is based on completion of the project and the extent or range of the project need to be defined adequately. So, the scope of the project should be accepted and agreed upon by both consultants and project owner. So, dito, papasok naman yung consultants and project owner. May agreement na dito. Yung between two, meron na silang agreement about dun sa project or dun sa yun nga, sa project. So, this method is recommended to be employed if the scope of the project is defined adequately. Simplified accounting, crucially, complex jobs, and very short tasks. However, it should be ruled out if the extent and the range of the project is not described and outlined sufficiently. Regardless of the method utilized as a basis of compensation, a provision in the agreement should state that payments will be made to the civil engineer during progress of the services based on monthly invoices and within a reasonable time after billing. Yung sinasabi naman dito na yung civil engineer kailangan okay dito, syempre may agreement dito yung civil engineer at saka yung owner or yung contractor kung ano yung price or amount ng project na yon. Syempre, pag fixed price na siya, sabi dito, based on monthly invoices. So, monthly invoices, yung mga price na in-estimate yun na, like, for example, yung materials, di ba? Estimate natin dyan yung magagamit natin. Ano na natin siya, ipa-pricing dun sa sa monthly invoices natin. Dapat yon is bayaran ng ating client within a reasonable time after billing. So next or the last one is the percentage of construction cost or the percentage. So construction labor cost. So may fast facts tayo, no? According to the industry standard Construction Labor Market Analyzer or the CLMA, labor cost percentages in construction lie between 20% and 40% of the total project's budget. So, kung may budget tayo sa project na yon, yung percentage labor cost, nandun siya sa 20% and 40%, sabi. So, costs that fall under the labor umbrella include not just wages but also things like payroll taxes, paid time off, workers' compensation, and other forms of insurance, equipment such as vehicles and company phones, payroll fraud, which is more common and subtle than you might think, recruiting and training costs. So, lahat ng to is under the labor umbrella na hindi lang siya wages, pero kailangan talaga siyang bayaran dun sa employee mo or sa mga civil engineer, diba? So what is the percentage of the labor cost in the Philippines in the total cost of the building? So ayon kay Willie Segovia, according to Willie Segovia, it varies from 30% to 50% depending on the type of building, complexity of finishes, and location. So dito lagi namang nakadepende sa type of building siya diba? Kung gaano kalaki yung project na yon, yung location niya. Syempre kapag nasa urban location siya, siguro mas mahal talaga. Like for example, pag nasa Manila yung location ng project na yon, mas highly yung price kasi yung standard din doon mas mataas. So labor rates are highest in the National Capital Region because of the high cost of living and commuting. In provinces, rates are lower. So ito nga yung sinasabi ko kanina, kapag nasa urban area ka, mas mataas yung labor rates kesa dun sa mga province or sa rural. Like for example dito, iba yung salary wage ng mga empleyado compare dun sa Manila. So labor cost is also affected by automation and toolsets. If companies use cranes, excavators, pumps, prefab system, labor costs go down. So yun, syempre kapag sa mga sites, 'di ba, sa construction sites may mga ginagamit na tayo, o mga civil engineer may mga ginagamit na silang mga tools, mga malalaking vehicles na mas mapapabilis yung work. So yung labor cost is bababa siya kasi yung human power hindi na siya kailangan kasi nga mas napoprovide na ng mga makabagong equipment. So to obtain an accurate estimate, hire a quantity surveyor. So sabi naman ni Willie Segovia, para ma-obtain yung accurate estimate, syempre kailangan ng quantity surveyor. Diba? Parang lang yon, parang bonus na lang na sinabi ni Willie Segovia para maayos yung labor costs in the Philippines. So what is this standard construction labor cost in the Philippines? So based naman sa sinabi ni Galileo Valiente, construction labor cost in the Philippines starts at 600 pesos per day for laborers. So laborers with specialized skills like carpenters, plumbers, electricians will cost higher depending on their skill level. This is negotiated between employee and employer. So dito sa Philippines, meron tayong mga standard dyan ng kumbaga depende sa skill ng tao. Like for example, sa mga teacher, kapag mga teacher 1, teacher 2, ganyan, iba-iba yung level of salary nila. Kasi depende siya sa skill ng isang tao. So, ganun din sa labor cost. Like, yung sa carpenters, plumbers, electricians, yun, may iba-iba naman sila ng level ng labor cost. Siyempre, kung engineer ka, civil engineer supervisor, mas malaki yung kanilang sahod compare dun sa mga tauhan nila ng mga laborers, ng carpenters, plumbers, yun. And syempre, depende pa rin yun sa negotiation between employee and employer. Kapag medyo maganda yung medyo mayaman or may ang tawag dito, in demand yung trabaho ng kumpanyang yon or yung project ng kumpanyang yon, mas malaki yung sweldo, mas better para sa ating mga laborers. So yun lang, sana po naintindihan nyo ang aking report. Thank you po and God bless.
Hi guys! This topic is all about advancing and enhancing technical skills and practical reasoning in civil engineering. These include the professional licensure examination, seminars, and other related trainings. Why should I become a licensed engineer? Or what is the importance of having a license as an engineer? So, civil engineering students and graduates are strongly encouraged to become licensed engineers. Civil engineers are most often involved in engineering services directly for the public. So, their work has a direct impact on the quality of life for all people. That's why having a license is important. Licensure not only raises your status, but it also demonstrates your dedication to the profession and heightened leadership and management abilities. Let's consider some other reasons to become a licensed engineer. First is technical responsibility. Your education and experience will prepare you for technical engineering work. Your license legally allow you to take personal responsibility for the engineering work that you may perform for public and private clients. Next is the public recognition. As a licensed engineer, you achieve an enhanced status in the eye of the public. That's why we are equipped with this license, katulad ng yung ibang mga professions like physicians, attorneys, accountants. Another one is private practice. So, if you think you may now or someday want to pursue a career as a consulting engineer, then own your own engineering firm or be in responsible charge for engineering works for the public. So, sa pamamagitan nun, mas ma-enhance pa yung skills mo sa engineering fields. And, of course, you must be a licensed engineer. Next is public practice. Many federal, state, and municipal agencies requires that certain responsible engineering positions, particularly those considered higher levels, be filled only by licensed engineers. So, for example, every municipal town, meron silang municipal engineer na kung saan sila yung nagagawa ng inspections if ever na may magpapatayo ng building para ma-approve building permit. Then, education practice. Engineering educators provide fundamental knowledge to those who study engineering. The responsibility to mentor students and serve as a role model is enhanced through licensure. Faculty who possess an engineering license have direct knowledge of the licensure process, bring practical experience, and as a result, can convey the licensure process to student more effectively. That's why sa engineering department, lahat ng professors natin is licensed engineers and nagtitake din sila ng master's degree para mas ma-enhance din yung knowledge nila and syempre maipasa sa ating mga students. Another one is changing workplace. Today's workplace is rapidly changing with instances of restructuring, downsizing, privatization, and outsourcing. Civil engineers need to be prepared to adapt to these changes. One manner to adapt to such changes is to work as a consultant or under contract offering professional engineering services in your own name. This type of work requires an engineer license. Next is the ethical responsibility. Licensure also aids you and the profession in the important area of ethics. While technical societies such as the ASCE or the American Society for Civil Engineers and others have codes of ethics for guidance, none of these codes have legal standing in the practice of engineering. On the other hand, state licensing boards have standards of ethical conduct that are legally binding. The recognition and enforcement of these standards give greater definition to our profession and significantly enhances the image of licensed civil engineers. What are the technical and ethical responsibilities of civil engineers? Most of a civil engineer's education focuses on technical matters, and most of the engineer's professional practice is devoted to apply this technical knowledge in service to the needs of society. Ethics is a vital part of engineering profession. Engineers are not only faced with choices between good and bad, but often a more difficult ethical dilemma occurs when making choices between competing goods. Examples of ethical dilemma na nangyayari sa construction industry are conflict of interest, inflation bills, professional incompetence, fraud, bribery, kickbacks, etc. na maiiwasan natin dahil meron nga tayong code of ethics. Civil engineers are encouraged to develop, number 1, understanding. A clear understanding of professional ethics. Then, communication skills. An ability and willingness to communicate about ethical issues. Then, insights. The ability to recognize ethical issues. An appreciation of frequency of which ethical issues occur. An awareness that guidance of ethical dilemmas is available for ASCE and elsewhere. Then, comprehension, knowing what's right. Next is desire and willingness to do what's right. Last is the ability to resolve ethical issues by using traditional civil engineering method of inquiry. These are the listing the options, testing the options, making a decision, and most importantly, acting. So that's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone. I will be discussing with you the list of all key competencies with project and construction management indicators. What do you think is the reason why it is important for engineers to be knowledgeable with these competencies? It is in order for them to offer quality service and quality output. We have 7 competency categories. The first is the technical category. The first competency under this category is to demonstrate knowledge of regulations, codes, standards, and safety. This includes local engineering procedures and practices as applicable. So what does this mean? For me, this simply means that engineers must be familiar with the concept and details of every engineering guidelines, ground rules, laws, or codes, such as the National Building Code of the Philippines. In Competency 1.1, with regards to this project and construction management indicators, first one is to identify and comply with legal and regulatory requirements for project activities. Then, ensure incorporation of codes and regulatory requirements in design materials. Third is to be able to prepare reports assessing project compliance with codes, standards, and legal regulatory requirements. And lastly, to recognize the need to design for code compliance while achieving constructability. So we see, engineering is not all about constructing our planned ideas, but to construct and follow the legal rules and regulation. The second competency under the technical category is to demonstrate knowledge of materials or operations as appropriate, project and design constraints, designed to best fit the purpose or service intended and address interdisciplinary impacts. An engineer must be well informed about the project he or she will be planning or what materials will be suitable for the project in order for them to properly design and execute the project. To support my statement, Here are the project and construction management indicators. 1 is to demonstrate knowledge of materials, operations, project, and design constraints. For example, actual cost versus budgeted cost, design material, labor, time, and production. 2 is to demonstrate understanding of and coordination with other engineering and professional disciplines. In planning, engineers should determine the workforce needed and the time it will take in constructing the project to precisely identify its actual cost. The next competency in the first category is to analyze technical risks and offer solutions to mitigate the risks. An engineer can always encounter risks. For them to alleviate or lessen it is better to have a plan B. They have to distinguish first what are the causes and effects of the risks. With regards to the project and construction management indicators, it is stated that an engineer must demonstrate familiarity as applicable with the system protection, security, and/or damage or hazard mitigation objectives, philosophies, practice, procedures, and functions. They should also analyze and manage project risks as it might affect successful completion of a project regarding cost, schedule, and performance and/or scope objectives. Identify risk areas including causes of risks and their impacts. Develop risk management or mitigation plans and demonstrate an understanding of the difference between technical risk and risk to the public interest or public safety issues. As I have said, it is important that an engineer must be able to identify the project risk and what causes it to effectively handle or to give solution to lessen the risks. The fourth competency is to apply engineering knowledge to design solutions. Oversee and review the specifications and drawings for the project. Develop the project requirements for the selection of the designer. Demonstrate use of theory and calculations to arrive at solutions. Demonstrate the development or management of a unique design solutions that could not be accomplished with a standard design solution. Carry out design and shop drawing reviews. For me, this simply means to put what we have learned into actions. In Competency 1.5, it is said that engineers have to be able to understand solution techniques and independently verify the results. Demonstrate an understanding of the engineering principles used in the application of computer design programs and show or describe how the results were verified as correct either by the applicant or by the applicant in collaboration with others. Participate in an independent review and verification of solutions, techniques, or analysis. The next competency focuses more on safety awareness. An engineer should be aware of safety risks inherent in the design and demonstrate safety awareness on site and possible safety authorization or certificate as appropriate. The project and construction management indicator under this competency is first, identify, incorporate, and/or participate in review of safety considerations, safety procedures, and safety equipments as they apply to system operations and/or maintenance for program. Conduct job hazard analysis or JHA for all scheduled activities in collaboration with all professionals involved in the construction project, such as architect, structural engineering firm, entrepreneur, etc. Produce safe job practices for JHA activities and manage prevention of accidents. demonstrate specific knowledge of safety and work safe regulations, and verify safety and environmental certifications. Conduct regular safety meetings, ensure compliance with safety and requirements including documented on-site safety inspections. Incorporate explicit human and public safety considerations in design and all the other professional activities. Understand and account for safety risks associated with processes. Identify relevant protection equipments and process modification to mitigate safety risks. Understand the principles of behavior-based safety and ensure it has been adopted through demonstration of its application. Being aware of the safety regulations is needed to ensure that the lives of your workforce is ensured. The seventh competency under the technical category is to demonstrate understanding of systems as well as of components of systems. Demonstrate an understanding of each element in a process and an understanding of the desired engineered solution, such as building, transportation solutions, and electrical installations. The next competency under this technical category is the exposure to all stages of the process or project life cycle from concepts and feasibility analysis through implementation. The indicator in category 1.8 is to demonstrate awareness of project concerns and roles of other stakeholders in the project stages. Under this is number 1, identification. Generation of the initial project ideas and preliminary design. Number 2, preparation, detailed design of the project addressing technical and operational aspects. Number 3 is appraisal. Analysis of the project from technical, financial, economic, social, institutional, and environmental perspectives. Number 4 is preparation of specifications and tender documents. Preparation of tender documents, inviting and opening in tender pre-qualification, perform contract and tender evaluation and analysis in order to award work. Finally, complete the review of chosen vendors and contractors' drawing to ensure compatibility with other equipment and compliance with final contract documents. Number 5 is implementation and monitoring. Review and analyze variations against contract terms and conditions. Supervise installation and commissioning. Review and document of project outcomes against requirements and conditions. Supervise installations and commissioning. Review and documents of project outcomes against requirements. Lastly is evaluation. Monitor project progress and compare to program or timeline. Initiate remedial action where necessary. The ninth competency under the technical category is to understand the concept of quality control during design and construction, including independent design check and independent reviews of design, field checks, and reviews. There are 10 project and construction management indicators under this competency. First is to draft, develop, and implement a master quality plan for the project, including site verification, quality control verification, and testing and sampling plan. Then, arrange for and obtain performance tests, witnessing of said tests, and other reviews as necessary to ensure that materials and equipments meet quality and performance requirements. Next is to evaluate test results, determine adequacy, and develop recommended action. Then conduct checks including field checks to ensure commissioning is done properly, approved, and signed off. Next is to ensure all quality management principles or practices are followed during the course of the project. Then prepare quality control plans, including frequency and test parameters for specific processes or products. Next is to prepare quality control plans, including frequency and test parameters for specific processes or products. Ensure that independent peer review and validation of design has been completed. Then produce quality control and quality inspections and non-conformance and corrective and preventive actions, or CAPA report. Lastly is to demonstrate completed project, systems or subsystems meet project objectives in terms of quality and operational performance. The last competency under the technical category is to transfer design intentions to drawings and sketches. Understand transmittal of design information to design documents. The project and construction management indicators under the last competency is number 1, to demonstrate the ability to review designs of others and communicate findings and issues, including suggested alternatives. Demonstrate communication of ideas and concepts to project team members. Demonstrate an understanding of values of project completion, reports, and lesson learned reports to application in future project by self or others. Produce sketches, notes, schedules, documentations, and design documents to prepare proposals. Preliminary and final design drawings for acceptance by the client and approval by regulatory authorities. Listening to others' ideas is also important. By means of this, we would be able to gain knowledge and apply this in our future projects.
Good day. I'm here to continue the report about the key competencies with project and construction management indicators. The second key competency is communication with 3 competencies. First is oral. Communicate in a simple and concise manner. Communicate official project data with team members, clients, and contractors. Ability to express both technical and non-technical issues and ideas clearly to both technical and non-technical personnel. Presentations to technical and non-technical groups. Presentations to superiors and subordinates, internal or the colleagues, and external or the client's presentations. Presentation of project parameters to the public. Demonstrate active participation in and contribution to meeting. Second is in writing. Tailor communications to the intended audience. The ability to write and review technical documents. Ability to write clear memos and reports to both technical and non-technical personnel. Use drawings and sketches to demonstrate key points and concepts. Demonstrate a written report on a technical subject. Demonstrate a written report on field observations. Take training in technical report writing. Work with common office programs like Excel, Word, Outlook, and internet browsers. The last competency under communication is reading and comprehension. The ability to review technical documents to understand the implications and to summarize key points. Another key competency category is project and financial management with 5 competencies. First is awareness of project management principles. Awareness of resource planning, budgeting, change management, scope management, schedule, and unforeseen issues in managing a project from start to end. Understand the impacts that benefits and risks of various design solutions have on project. Understand the needs and expectations of internal and external clients. Second is demonstrate increasing level of responsibility for project planning and implementation. Follow and contribute to development of project management plans. Be aware of future improvements and demands as well as other ongoing projects. Demonstrate increasing responsibility for client contact and management. Demonstrate how project planning activities and interaction with others has increased over the training period. Participate in managing and adapting a schedule. demonstrate awareness of issues related to other disciplines that might affect the project, maintaining contact and communication to discuss and resolve issues. The third competency is manage expectations in light of available resources. Update the schedule and budget on regular basis and communicate status. Provide market assessment and availability of materials for a project. Meet deadlines. Another competency is understand the financial aspects of their work. Demonstrate cognizance of project budget during design and construction. Provide technical or financial report and compare the options. Demonstrate the understanding of the place of finance in business decisions. Understand principles of budgeting and financing. Understand the relevant business processes. Demonstrate an understanding of working with and developing contracts. And the last competency under project and financial management is asked for and demonstrate response to feedback. Demonstrate implementation of lessons learned and performance reviewed in meetings. Show willingness to accept comments and criticism. Identify situations where you received feedback and how you responded to that feedback. Demonstrate appreciation of the scope of a project and an appropriate response when a project varies beyond the scope. Another key competency category is team effectiveness with two competency. First is work respectfully with other disciplines or people. Demonstrate respect for others' responsibility and expertise. Integrate engineering with other professional input. And the second is work to resolve differences. Demonstrate leadership in achieving team goals and resolving conflict. Work to facilitate beneficial conflict resolution. Exposure to training in conflict resolution. The fifth competency category is professional accountability, ethics, and professionalism with 6 competencies. First is work with integrity, ethically, and within professional standards. Comply with the code of ethics in the jurisdiction of practice. Apply professional ethics in meeting corporate directives. Second is demonstrate an awareness of your own scope of practice and limitations. Ask for help and incorporate input. Demonstrate interaction with your supervisor. Ask questions when needed. Another competency is demonstrate awareness of professional accountability. Awareness of the potential professional liability involved in all aspects of the design, construction, and inspection process. The sixth competency category is social, economic, environmental, and sustainability with 5 competencies. First is demonstrate an understanding of the safeguards required to project and public and the methods of mitigating adverse impacts. Prepare public safety regulations and advice during design and implementation of a project. Understand potential effects of climate change. Second is demonstrate an understanding of the relationship between the engineering activity and the public. Recognize the value and benefits of the engineering work to the public. Prepare a report regarding the impact of a project to a public. The fifth competency under professional accountability is demonstrate an understanding of appropriate use of the stamp and seal. Please note that understanding and awareness is what is required for this key competency. And the last competency is understand own strengths and weaknesses and know how they apply to one's position. Prepare a self-criticism list and the way to mitigate or eliminate the weaknesses. Third is understand the role of regulatory bodies on the practice of engineering. Recognize the importance of respecting the regional traditions and native regulations towards a project. Understand the role and regulations of other professions whose practices overlap or interface with the practice of professional engineering. Fourth is be aware of any specific sustainability clauses that have been added to practice guidelines that apply to their area. And the last is to the extent possible, recognizing the applicant's position of influence, consider how sustainability principles could be applied and promoted in his or her specific work. Include sustainability analysis in project descriptions. Provide a list of revisions made during design and implementation period of the project. And the last key competency category is personal continuing professional development with 3 competencies. First is demonstrate completion of professional development activities. Participation in community, technical, industry, and/or professional association committees and task forces. Engagement in a variety of self-directed and formal professional development activities to learn and maintain currency in field of practice and report progress to applicable parties. Second is demonstrate awareness of gaps in knowledge and areas requiring further development. Gap analysis of knowledge and skills highlight the gaps that exist. Identification of areas of weakness where additional training is needed. And the last competency is develop a professional development plan to address gaps in knowledge and maintain currency in field of practice. Plan to pursue training in areas of weakness and remedy gaps in knowledge. Planned activities may include in a variety of self-directed and formal professional development activities to learn and maintain currency in a field of practice.
Dito, pag-uusapan natin, ano ba yung pinagkaiba ng profession sa occupation? But before we proceed, some short info. Yung makikita natin dito ay, o yung i-discuss ko ay, this is the very short description nung nandun sa module. This is the important key points na sinamarize ko lang base sa kung paano ko inintindi yung module. However, ang nandito ay yung important key points na magagamit natin. Okay, let's proceed. Master's Builder as a new profession. Ano nga ba ang isang Master's Builder? According to the definition, Master's Builder would have the knowledge of architect, structural engineer, carpenter, roofer, and other trades to construct a building. Ang ibig sabihin nun, pag mayroon kang kaalaman related sa construction, design, o conceptual framework kung paano itayo ang isang structure, pwede kang tawaging isang master's builder. However, sa ngayon ay hindi pa malinaw kung yung master's builder ba ay dapat isama o gawing bagong profession under ASCE base sa Vision 2025. Later on, malalaman natin bakit hindi ganun kadaling gawing isang profession ng isang occupation. Ano ba yung kailangan para yung isang occupation ay matawag na profession? Ano ba yung dapat isatisfied or yung standard na dapat magampanan ng isang occupation? According to Wilinski on 1964, we have 4 distinctive structural attributes that differentiate profession from occupation. Ano nga ba yung pinagkaiba ng profession sa occupation? At least we have 4. I-discuss natin on the next slide. Okay, for the number 1, creation of full-time occupation. For simple definition, dito papasok kung yung trabaho mo ba ay full-time or part-time. How much time do you spend on your work? Ito ba ay pasok sa standard para masabing isang profession? Dito yon pumapasok. Yung profession ay hindi lang basta trabaho. Dapat may kasama itong responsibility, provision, at syempre, hindi dyan mawawala yung tinatawag nating passion. Kasi yun yung pinaka-importante. At higit sa lahat, paano ba ito o paano ka ba dito nakikinabang o paano ba ito nakakatulong sa iba? That was under the structural attributes number 1, creation of full-time occupation. Okay, another one is the establishment of training in higher degree. Dito sa atin, ito yung kadalasang pinagbabasehan. Pag college graduate ka, automatic ang tingin sa'yo professional. However, dapat hindi na tayong ma-mislead sa misconception na ganun. Kasi hindi lang yun nung dapat pagbasehan. Kasi we have several structural attributes on how to define profession. Pero one of the basic requirements naman to be called professional is ay dapat may pinag-aralan ka or merong university training or degree in higher education. Next is the formation of professional association. Dapat may kinabibilangan kang association if you want to be professional. At dapat yung isang occupation o ang isang occupation ay merong professional association para matawag iyong profession. Dito sa atin sa Pilipinas ay meron tayong Philippine Institute of Civil Engineers in terms of civil engineering. Pamilyar naman siguro sa atin ito kasi meron tayong student body organization na ganito yung kinabibilangang association. At syempre, na-discuss na to nung naunang reporter. Okay. As much as possible, dapat kasamang isang individual sa professional association para matawag siyang professional o matawag ang kanyang occupation na profession. Siguro for yung isang pakinabang nun ay para sa legitimacy at ang isa pa ay yung legality kasi may mga ganun. Pag wala kang lisensya, hindi ka maituturing na legal o wala kang hindi ka pwedeng sabing isang professional. Okay. For the final structural attributes is the establishment of code of ethics. Ito yung pinaka-importante. Pero sad to say, ito rin yung madalas na binabaliwala. Hindi mo kailangan magmukhang professional o tunog professional. All you have to do is to follow the code of ethics. Ang tanong, meron bang establishment of code of ethics ang isang trabaho para masabing profession? Dito na yon bumabagsak. Dapat ang isang occupation ay merong code of ethics na sinusunod. Sa doktor, meron silang code of ethics. Sa educator, meron silang code of ethics. At meron din tayo sa civil engineering. Diniscuss na to nung naunang grupo, yung tungkol sa code of ethics at yung canon. Siguro hindi ko na to masyadong i-emphasize kasi meron naman yung previous discussion about dito. Okay, move on tayo. Yung kanina, according to Wilinski, he stated the structural attributes. Pero according naman kay Hale on 1968, he defined 5 attitudinal attributes of profession. From the word attitudinal or attitude, ito yung dapat taglayin ng isang profession to be called as profession, or ito dapat yung taglayin ng isang occupation to be called as a profession. Meron tayong 5. Okay, on the next slide. Use association as a major reference. Dapat ang isang employer ay hindi credit grabbing. As much as possible, you have to assure that your association was your primary reference, lalo na pag professional ka na. Dapat you always give credits to your association, and you have to follow the code and regulations of your association. Hindi pwedeng magsarili ka o gumawa kang sarili mong provision. Hindi dapat ganun. Dapat yung association or yung professional association mo, yung primary reference mo sa bawat activity na gagawin mo. It is important na yung occupation ay magsettle ng professional association para sa kanyang employer. And that was first of the attitudinal attributes of profession. Okay, another one, belief in the value of the service to the public. Dapat may tiwala ka na yung serbisyo mo ay kailangan ng iba. Para naman meron kang inspirational vocation or vocational inspiration, whatever it is. Dapat alam mo sa sarili mo na yung trabaho mo ay may significant value sa iba. At yun yung magpapakilos sa isang employer para ganahan siya sa trabaho at para masabing isa siyang professional or meron siyang profession. Okay. Next is the self-regulation. You have to, dito na yung attitude na tinatawag. You have to be professional, dress well, learn ethical value, magpatayo ng subdivision. Okay lahat yun, basta ang importante, trabaho lang, walang personalan. You have to settle your emotion. You have to control your emotion. You have to settle your motives. Dapat focus ka lang sa trabaho at hindi yung sariling interest. At dapat syempre you have to be aware with yourself. Kung paano ka kumilos, kung paano ka gumalaw, you have to control. That was under the self-regulation. Okay, for the next slide is dedication of members to the profession. Dito na papasok yung teamwork at unity. At syempre yung pakikisama sa katrabaho. Hindi nga matatawag na professional ang isang employer kung hindi siya marunong rumispeto sa katrabaho. At syempre, sa field natin na civil engineering, hindi tayo gumagalaw mag-isa. Yung activity na gagawin natin o kung paano natin kukompletohin yung project, kinagawa natin yon as a team, not as an individual. Kaya as much as possible, we have to dedicate to every member of our profession yung trabaho natin o yung vision natin. Dapat meron tayong vision at mission na sinusunod. Okay, for our last attitudinal attributes, autonomy of professional judgment. Dapat may control ka sa sarili mo. You have to base your judgment on your professional perspective. Hindi ka pwedeng basta na lang magwelga o gumawa ng sarili mong desisyon. Siyempre, you have to put your personal judgment on the most professional way. Since sabi nga, dapat you have to act like what you are. You have to base your professional judgment or your judgment on the most professional way na hindi yon nakakatapak sa iba. And that was under the autonomy of the professional judgment. Okay, move na tayo. Yung kanina diniscuss natin yung structural attributes and attitudinal attributes ng profession. Since we are belong to the field of civil engineering, we have here two examples of profession: the CE and CM, or yung structural engineer at yung construction managers. Civil engineering focusing on the planning, designing, constructing, maintaining, and operating infrastructures. Bali matagal na to kasi it has 170 years in the history. Matagal na talaga. However, yung construction managers naman, it focuses on the management techniques to oversee the planning, design, and construction of the project. It has 60 years in the history, but it's still maturing as a profession. Kung ikukumpara natin yung construction manager sa civil engineering, hindi pa ito ganoon katanda, but it is considered as profession. Siguro pumasok na-discuss naman yung structural and attitudinal attributes, at pasok naman itong construction managers dun sa specification para matawag siyang profession. Okay. Meron tayong employment status dito of CE and CM. By the way, this data is from the US Department of the Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics, conducted on the year 2010. Simple lang naman yung gustong i-signify nung table na to. Una, at the year 2008 ay mas marami yung projected number of construction managers kumpara sa civil engineers. However, after 10 years of observation, yung rate of increase ng civil engineer ay mas tumaas kumpara sa construction manager. Yun lang yung gustong i-signify ng table na to, yung comparison ng dalawang profession. However, yung construction management pala, kung civil engineer ka, pwede ka rin maging construction manager kasi meron tayong specialization na ganun. Yung site engineer and construction engineer, pwede rin tayong maging construction manager kung pala rin. Okay, yun lang yung ibig sabihin ng table na yun. Okay, for the next slide, sa dinami-dami ng trabaho na umiikot sa buong mundo, ay napakakunti lang nung matatawag nating profession. According to Wilinski observation, yung tinawag niyang the professional of everyone, there is 1,000 of occupation try to achieve profession status while only very few fraction of them succeed. All successful profession have a university training program established earlier than a national association, or established earlier than the national association. Yun naman pala. Siguro dahil sa structural and attitudinal attributes na requirements ay halos hindi na gagampanan ng karamihang occupation. Kaya hindi nila nakukuha yung title as a profession. At yung iba, kadalasan pinagbabasehan ay yung university training o dapat meron kang diploma. Yun yung one of the challenges dito para masabing professional or matawag ang isang occupation as a profession. Para sa huling slide, the common struggles during the process of the professional formation. Hindi ko na pala to i-emphasize o i-discuss masyado kasi meron na akong nakita nitong nag-report on the previous task. Okay, number 1, the professional task and knowledge base. Ito talaga yung kadalasang problema or struggles for the professional formation, the professional task and knowledge base. Nandito, kasali ito doon sa structural attributes, yung may university training at isa pa yung professional organization. Another is the internal conflict among the practitioners of the varying backgrounds. Andyan si drafting, andyan si architecture. Ganun yung competition or ganun yung internal conflict. Kaya yung iba nahihirapan o yung ibang occupation ay nag-i-struggle to become a profession. Or na hindi nila na-acquire yung process to become a professional or to be called as a profession. Okay, competitions with outsiders who do similar works. Ito yung common struggle during the process of the professional formation. Kung babalikan natin yung Master's Builder, dito masabi natin bakit ba natin dapat gawing profession si Master's Builder. Whoever nandyan din naman si architecture, andyan na si civil engineering, andyan na si construction manager, na halos parehas lang yung function kung kumpara kay Master's Builder. Yun. Siguro na-discuss ko naman lahat yung structural attributes at yung attitudinal attributes of being profession. Okay, recap tayo. We have structural attributes according to Wilinski and attitudinal attributes according naman kay Hale. These two ito yung ginagamit nating specification to define an occupation as a profession. Dapat magampanan ng isang occupation yung requirements na ganito para matawag silang occupation. Okay, siguro yun lang. Okay, tapos na. Thank you.
Afternoon. So we're going to continue our discussion about the code of ethics that were established in both civil engineering and construction management. Here in Table 5, it shows the comparison of the code of ethics between ASCE, which stands for American Society of Civil Engineers, and the CMAA, or Construction Management Association of America. American Society of Civil Engineers is dedicated to advancement of the science and profession of civil engineering and enhancement of human welfare through the activities of society member. It has more than 152,000 members in 177 countries. Its mission is to provide essential value to members, their careers, partners, and the public. Facilitate the advancement of technology, encourage and provide the tools for lifelong learning, promote professionalism and the profession, develop and support civil engineers. While the Construction Management Association of America is North America's only organization dedicated exclusively to the interest
of Professional Construction and Program Management. It has over 16,000 members from all segments of the construction industry. The mission of CMAA is to promote the profession of construction management and the use of the qualified construction managers on capital projects and programs. And its vision is to be recognized authority in the management of the construction process. Let us first compare the code of ethics between CMAA and ASCE in Table 5. Comparison of the Code of Ethics of ASCE and Construction Management Association of America. Letter A. Engineers shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public and shall strive to comply with the principles of sustainable development in the performance of their professional duties. 8. Public welfare. I will not discriminate the performance of my services on the basis of race, religion, national origin, age, disability, or sexual orientation. I will not knowingly violate any law, statute, or regulation in the performance of my professional services. Here po, we'll notice the major difference between the Code of Ethics of ASCE and CMAA. Let us first discuss the letter A and then followed by the number 8. So, ibig sabihin po dito is that the major priority of an engineer is the public welfare. Kaya dapat yung i-approve lang na documents and projects are those that contains and meet the quality standards. It's because an engineer must maintain high standards of professional conduct and that their fundamental duty does not end in the construction of a certain infrastructure. So, when we say principles of sustainable development naman, it pertains to the resources that we use and are currently using. Ibig sabihin po is we need to make sure that we are not causing those resources to deplete. That's why we need to make sure that we are using it moderately so that there would still be something left for our future generations. Let's proceed to letter B. And engineers shall perform services only in the area of their competence. And in CMAA, in number 2, representation, qualification, and availability. I will only accept assignments for which I am qualified by my education, training, professional experience, and technical competence, and I will assign staff to projects in accordance with their qualification and commensurate with the services to be provided, and I will only make representations concerning my qualifications and availability which are truthful and accurate. If you've noticed po here, same lang po yung content nila in which you must perform only in the areas of your qualifications or expertise. Sabi nga po ni ma'am, if you remember po no last meeting, we need to give respect. Respeto doon sa taong naka-assign sa project. Aside from giving respect to the persons that's in control and assigned to a specific area, it's really unprofessional to deal with the things that you're not capable of doing. So, dapat huwag tayong manghimasok lalo na kung yung education or experience natin is hindi pa enough and kung wala namang nagsasabi or wala namang nagbibigay sa atin ng authority, full authority na mag-perform ng isang work outside our area. Letter C. Engineers shall issue public statements only in an objective and truthful manner. And number 7, release of information. I will only make statements that are truthful and I will keep information and records confidential when appropriate and protect the proprietary interest of my clients and professional colleagues. Bibigay ng mga statement na gawa-gawa lamang means unsupported with facts. Kasi hindi lang naman yung pangalan ng ibang tao yung masisira. Kasi once na mapatunayan na mali yung statement mo, syempre, you'll be credited also for providing such wrong information.
And dapat you'll not give information that are confidential, especially about sa clients mo or any colleagues for privacy.
Letter D. An engineer shall act in professional matters for each employer or client as faithful agents or trustee, and shall avoid conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. I will endeavor to avoid conflict of interest and will disclose conflicts which in my opinion may impair my objectivity or integrity.
In order for a client or employer to trust you, they must have seen you embodying the company's values and serve as a stellar representative of the company. The best way naman po to mitigate conflict of interest is to avoid them in the first place. Don't accept roles and responsibilities that are incompatible with your existing interest. And sana yung company na pinagtatrabuhan nyo ay mag-provide sa mga employees with professional development opportunities that increase knowledge on ethical issues.
Letter E. Engineers shall build their professional reputation on the merit of their service and shall not compete unfairly with others. Number 4, fair competition. I will represent my project experience accurately to my prospective client and offer service and stuff that I am capable of delivering. I will develop my professional reputation on the basis of my direct experience and service provided, and I will only engage in fair competition for assignments. Letter F. Letter F. Engineers shall act in such a manner as to uphold and enhance the honor, integrity, and dignity of the engineering profession and shall act with zero tolerance for bribery, fraud, and corruption. Number 10. Integrity of the profession. I will avoid actions which promote my own self-interest at the expense of the profession, and I will uphold the standards of the construction management profession with honor and dignity. Between letter F and number 10 naman po, we will notice na same lang or there is a huge similarities between the two code of ethics. Energy engineers shall continue their professional developments throughout their careers and shall provide opportunities for the professional developments of those engineers under their supervision. Number 9, professional development. I will continue to develop my professional knowledge and competency as construction manager, and I will contribute to the advancement of the construction and program management practice as a profession by fostering research and education and through the encouragement of fellow practitioners. Under number 9, we have client service. I will serve my clients with honesty, integrity, candor, and objectivity. I will provide my services with competence, using reasonable care, skill, and diligence, consistent with the interest of my client and the applicable standard of care. I will furnish my services in a manner consistent with established and accepted standards of the profession and with the laws and regulations which govern its practice. Fair compensation. I will negotiate fairly and openly with my clients in establishing a basis for compensation, and I will charge fees and expenses that are reasonable and commensurate with the services to be provided and responsibilities and risks to be assumed. This code of ethics guide and protect decisions made by civil engineers around the world. Members of the American Society of Civil Engineers conduct themselves with integrity and professionalism, and above all else, protect and advance the health, safety, and welfare of the public through the practice of civil engineering, and allowing civil engineers to clearly articulate their ethical responsibility. The general comparison reveals that the code of ethics of the two organizations are almost the same. The differences are evident in Table 5 if you have noticed po, items 1, 3, and 6, which is the client service, standards of practice, and fair compensation are clearly stated under CMAA, while this information is not included from the ASCE code. It is the ultimate guide on how members of the organization should act in connection with the performance of their duties and obligations. Likewise, it is the basis upon which disputes can be settled or decisions are to be made. This is the protection of each member of the organization against unlawful accusations, or it can also serve as a basis for disciplinary actions for erring members. This is the code that each member will have to understand and adhere to in order to function effectively within that particular area. So in general, the Code of Ethics of both the American Society of Civil Engineers and the Construction Management Association of America have several similarities. So these both Code of Ethics are held with high respect and honor in their respective organization. Pero ngayon, according to Google, na-revise na yung Code of Ethics ng ASCE in which they focus to heighten the obligation for reporting bribery, fraud, and corruption. And more on, nakafocus din sa health and safety in the workplace and strengthened language on engineers' ethical responsibility to adhere to the principles of sustainable development. Binawasan ng ilang words and approximately 75 words ata lahat. The new code language is simple, inclusive, and comprehensive in terms of our understanding of the engineering practice. More importantly, it lists an engineer's obligation by specific priority so that there is no confusion or conflict. The Code of Ethics of CMAA naman represent the aspirations of the profession relative to clients, owner, collegium, the public. They use the word construction manager as a term that applies to CMAA members and performance of their services as construction and program managers. Construction managers provide a broad range of service to their clients and employers that encompass program, project, and construction management, and also serving as an owner advisors, or representative. So, the above-mentioned ethical practice of a construction manager, they should be guided in all their relationships by the highest standard of integrity and honesty, and should conduct themselves honorably, responsibly, ethically, and lawfully so as to enhance the honor and reputation and value of the profession, and avoid conduct or practice that deceive the public or represent a real or perceived conflict of interest. They should respect the rights of others and should not discriminate on the basis of color, gender, marital status, religion, national origin, age, disability, or sexual orientation, nor knowingly violate any law, statute, or regulation in the performance of professional services, and shall strive to create a diverse workforce and have no tolerance for any form of bullying or discrimination. Proceed naman tayo sa Table 6, the typical task performed by construction and civil engineers. Table 6, typical task performed by construction and civil engineers. Let us first read the construction manager task, wherein they schedule the project and logical steps and budget time required to meet deadlines. Confer with supervisory personnel, owners, contractors, and design professionals to discuss and resolve matters such as work procedures, compliance, and construction problems. They prepare contracts and negotiate revisions, changes, and additions to contractual agreement with architects, consultant, clients, suppliers, and subcontractors. They prepare and submit budget estimates, and progress and cost tracking reports. They also interpret and explain plans, contract terms to administrative staff, workers, and clients representing the owner or developer. They plan, organize, and direct activities concerned with the construction and maintenance of structures, facilities, and systems. They take action to deal with the results of delays, bad weather, or emergencies at construction site. They also inspect and review projects to monitor compliance with building and safety codes and other regulation and study job specifications to determine appropriate construction methods and select contract and oversee workers who complete and select contract and oversee workers who complete specific pieces of the project such as painting or plumbing. While the civil engineer, they manage and direct staff members in the construction, operations, or maintenance activities at a project site. They also provide technical advice regarding design, constructions, or program modifications and structural repairs to industrial and managerial personnel. They inspect project sites to monitor progress and ensure conformance to design specifications and safety or sanitation standards. And they estimate quantities and cost materials, equipment, or labor to determine project feasibility. Also test soils and materials to determine the adequacy and strength of the foundations, concrete, asphalt, or steel. They are tasked to compute load and grade requirements, water flow rates, and material stress factors to determine the design specifications, and they plan and design transportation or hydraulic systems and structures following construction and government standards using design software and drawing tools. They analyze survey reports, maps, drawings, blueprints, aerial photography, and other topographical or geologic data to plan projects. They are the one who prepare or present public reports on topics such as bid proposals, deeds, environmental statements, or property and right-of-way descriptions. Lastly, they direct or participate in surveying to lay out installations and establish reference points, grades, and elevations to guide construction.
So, this table contains the major tasks performed by construction managers and civil engineers, despite some overlap, such as yung civil engineer scheduling and estimating tasks can also be performed by a construction manager. The major differences are clear. The tasks performed by construction managers include managing people, cost, schedules, and legal and organizational aspects of the project, whereas the tasks performed by civil engineers are related to technical, scheduling, and logistical aspect of a project. So, the U.S. Department of Labor Employment and Training Administration 2010 defined the responsibilities of a construction manager as plan, direct, coordinate, or budget, usually through subordinate supervisory personnel. Activities concerned with the construction and maintenance of structures, facilities, and systems. Participate in the conceptual development of a construction project and oversee its organization, scheduling, and implementation. The U.S. Department of Labor, Employment and Training Administration 2010 definition of a civil engineer includes perform engineering duties and in planning, designing, and overseeing construction and maintenance of building structures and facilities such as roads, railroads, airports, bridges, harbors, channels, dams, irrigation projects, pipelines, power plants, water, and sewage. That's all. Thank you.
Hello everyone. As you can see, this is our next lesson, but before we start, I would like to introduce myself. I am Richie Pareha, presenting the continuation of our discussion in this chapter 1. So, okay, balik tayo dito. Our lesson is entitled of Skills Required in Order of Priority by Construction Managers and Civil Engineers. So, ayan, may table siya. But kasi ito siya, table 7, naka-table yung discussion natin ngayon. So, yan nga, balikan natin yung title, in order of priority. So, yung mga nakalist po dito is ito yung mga skills required na meron dapat ang isang construction managers and civil engineers. So, ito po is in order na po siya, para bang from the top to least or from the top to bottom. Ito yung dapat meron ng katangian ng isang construction managers and civil engineer. Ayan, inulit ko. Ayan, naka-order po siya, but meron naman tayo ng copy nito given by our professor in this subject. Nandun siya sa Google Classroom. Wait, pakita natin. Para masabayan nyo din ako. Ito siya. Yung title ng files. Ito, chapter 1 into complete module with activities. And on page 44 siya. So, ayan. Para masabayan nyo din ako, you can take a picture of this or simply open nyo yung file na yan. And if you're done, let's go back to our presentation. So, ayan. Ayan, same lang naman sila. Starts with our construction manager. First is time management. So, ang definition dito is managing one's own time and the time of others. So, alam naman natin na ito yung pinaka-importante na dapat na meron ng katangian ng isang worker, even me, even you, di ba? Kapag wala kasi nito, it's either babagal yung trabaho or maraming masasayang na opportunity na dapat nagawa na sana. Diba? Next is active listening, giving full attention to what other people are saying. Ay, may recording. Yes. Active listening, giving full attention to what other people are saying, taking time to understand the points being made, asking questions as appropriate, and not interrupting at inappropriate times. So, construction managers must have dapat active listener siya. Dapat binibigyan niya ng importansya, attention yung mga workers niya, especially yung mga employees niya, taking time to understand the points na mahalaga, example dun sa meeting na ginawa nyo. And syempre, makikita mo if you are an active listener kapag bumibigay ka ng questions, bumibigay ka ng feedbacks and comments. Ayun. And next is critical thinking, using logic and reasoning to identify the strengths and weaknesses of alternative solutions, conclusions, or approaches to problems. So, paano ba to? Alam naman natin na, para sa akin kasi mostly gamit na gamit to in times of hardships, problems, or yung kung ano pa man ang mga hindi naaayon sa plano, mga nangyayari na hindi naaayon sa plano. And for that, dapat mayroon ng isang construction managers ng logical and reasoning para makapag-provide agad ng alternative solutions and approaches to problems na kinakaharap. Okay? Next is speaking. Talking to others to convey information effectively. So, speaking. So, ito, asset to ng isang individual, di ba? Kahit ako. And bilang isang construction manager, dapat magaling magsalita. Klaro magpaliwanag. Also, direct to the point para maunawaan ay ma-execute effectively ng mga workers. So alam naman natin, ma-execute effectively ng mga workers yung mga commands mo since you're a manager, tama? Kasi alam naman natin na madalas miscommunication ang dahilan ng mga, sabi natin, faults and problems. Yeah. Next is management of personal resources. Motivating, developing, and directing people as they work. Identifying the best people for the job scenes. Ayan, so management of personal resources. Dapat hindi ka lang puro command, puro sugo. Siyempre, dapat marunong ka din mag-motivate, mag-develop, especially yung mga kakayanan nila. If hindi siya applicable sa bagay na to, hindi pwede mo naman sila ipagawa dito. Like, hindi siya marunong mag-welding. Maybe try mo siya doon kasi balay mo mas magaling pala siya doon. And syempre, identifying the best people for the job kasi sabihin na natin, magamit mo siya in the future. Like, you are hire ka ng magagaling na mga workers. So, ayun, may kilala ka na best people for that position, di ba? Complex problem solving, identifying complex problems and reviewing related information to develop and evaluate options and implement solutions. So ito, importante ito. Identifying complex problems, dapat marunong ka mag-identify ng mga, sabi natin, mga mahirap na problema, yung hindi madalas mo ma-encounter sa iyong trabaho. And syempre dapat kapag meron na ng problems na yan, gagawan mo siya ng review. Parang gagawan mo na siya ng solution, paplanuhan mo siya, hanapan mo siya ng related information para makapag-provide siya ng development, and after that, may evaluate mo yung mga, para bang gagawa ka ng list yung kung ano ba yung mga the best solutions doon sa problemang yon. And after that, kapag nakapag-pick ka na o nakapili ka na ng the best solutions, i-implement mo na siya. Like iutos mo na siya doon sa mga tao mo or ikaw na yung gumawa na ito yung gawin natin kasi ito yung parang sabihin natin hindi siya ganun kadelikado. Let's say sa tayo sa construction place. Yeah. Next is coordination. Coordination, adjusting actions in relation to others' action. So, ano ba? Dapat kung anong napagkasunduan and kung ano man ang latest information ay dapat duman lang kita ma-focus or ma-stick. Kailangan natin malaman yung latest happening or latest info para makapag-adjust. Para makapag-adjust tayo sa susunod na action. Ayan, dapat since you are manager, ikaw lang may hawak ng mga oras ng mga tao mo. So dapat you are the one who are stay updated from time to time sa mga possible changes, especially sa plan para makapag-adjust yun na nga sa next step or action. And syempre, kapag nalaman mo na may pagbabago pala dun sa plano, you can coordinate that sa mga workers mo. Next is monitoring. Monitoring or assessing performance of yourself, other individual or organization to make improvements or take corrective action. Wait lang, alisin ko lang yung yung pagmumukha natin dito kasi di naman siya ganun ka-importante. Wait lang. Ayan. Monitoring. So, wait, monitoring muna tayo. Ayan. So ayun, bilang isang construction manager, hindi lang dapat na minamaneho or minomonitor mo lang yung mga workers mo, employees mo. Example sa construction project, kundi dapat din minomonitor mo ang sarili mo. Hindi lang yung gahalat na matapos, let's say yung project na yun, or kung ano pa man na mga kabutan. Yeah. Look for the actions of personnel to make an adjustment, improvements, or take corrective action if needed. So ganun ang paraan para ma-assess mo yung performance ng sarili mo. Yeah. Next is a negotiation, bringing others together and trying to reconcile differences. So yan, basic. Active learning. Sorry. Active learning. Understanding the implication if new information for both current and future problem solving and decision making. So dapat you are open, even sabihin natin mataas na yung position mo, dapat open ka pa rin to gain a new learning sa sarili mo, especially dun sa mga problema na hindi mo pa na-encounter, hindi usual na nangyaring problema. Dapat open ka doon, hindi yung hayaan mo lang na mag-exist yung problema na yon, dapat gawan mo siya ng solution, di ba? Ayan, so yun lang yung mga top priority na dapat meron ng isang construction manager. So punta na tayo sa civil engineer. Anyway, nasa table po to para masundan nyo, inisa-isa lang natin to. Ayan, so civil engineer. So civil engineer, kung kanina sa construction manager is time management, yung pinakauna, dito naman sa civil engineer is a complex problem solving. O, di ba? Maging ika. Identifying complex problems and reviewing related information to develop and evaluate option and implement solutions. So, ayan. Halos same lang naman siya dun sa yung definition niya, same lang naman dun sa construction manager, na umahanap ka muna ng problema, nagsisika muna ng problema, especially that complex problems, and then hinahanapan mo siya ng related information kung paano mo ba siya masusolusyonan, and syempre after that, make a list kung ano ba yung the best option or the best solution, and kapag nakapag-pick ka na with your team, syempre i-implement mo na siya or ipatupad nyo na. Diba? Judgment and decision making. So ito yung meron si civil engineer na wala si construction manager. So judgment and decision making. Considering the relative costs and benefits of potential action to choose the most appropriate time. Paano ba to? Dapat dito, alam mo yung gagawin mo, dapat alam yung magiging kaakibat na mga actions such as consequences and syempre benefits nito. Then decide ka, choose the appropriate one. Ayun. Next naman is skip pala tayo dito. Yan, critical thinking. So same lang naman siya doon sa construction manager. Ayan, mathematics. Using mathematics to solve problems. Halos buhay na to ng isang civil engineer, di ba? So, from the beginning pa lang. So, ayun, dapat marunong ka mag-solve, mag-identify ng problems, mag-provide ng solution mathematically. And, yan. Operation analysis, analyzing needs and product requirements to create a design. So, dapat marunong ka rin mag-analyze, mag-compute kung ilan yung gagastusin, yung ilan ang requirements sa project na gagawin mo. And reading comprehension, understanding written sentences, paragraphs in work-related documents. So, understanding the written documents, paragraphs, pwede din natin dito isali yung codes, di ba? Codes, symbols, example sa plan or blueprint, di ba may mga symbol doon? Measurement na dapat naunawaan na unang kita pa lang. So, yun, reading comprehension, para bang makita mo pa lang siya, alam mo na yung ibig sabihin nito. Ayan, para hindi masakit, hindi mahirap sa iyo intindihin yung mga bagay-bagay na tanging sabihin na natin na architect, construction manager, and civil engineer lang yung nagkakaintindi. Okay? Kasi mostly, di ba, yung sa mga mapping, blueprint, may mga symbols doon na parang may meaning. Symbol lang siya, simple symbol, pero may meaning pala yun. So next naman, ang dapat meron si civil engineer is, syempre, dapat magaling sa science, using scientific rules and methods to solve problems. Critical thinking, ayan, na ulit. Active listening, yan, same lang siya doon. Giving full attention to what other people are saying, taking time to understand the points being made, asking questions as appropriate, and not interrupting at inappropriate times. Okay, same lang naman, no? And also speaking, time management. Ayan, so may note tayo. The data in this table are from US Department of Labor, Employment, and Training Administration, 2010. So, 2022 na ngayon. So, hindi na siya ganun ka-updated. Anyway, ito pa rin yung top priority na meron dapat construction managers and civil engineer. So, dapat hindi ito binabasta-basta kasi ito yung magiging guide mo once na sabihin na natin na construction managers ka na or civil engineer ka na. Diba? So, saan tayo? Ayan. Ayan, no? Despite different priority levels, complex problem solving, critical thinking, active listening, speaking, and time management are identified as critical skills for both professions. So, ayan. Ito na, parang conclusion na to. Math, science, operational analysis, reading comprehension, and judgment and decision-making are among the skills listed for civil engineers. So ayun, nakita naman natin dun sa table pa lang. So parang more on, yun nga, math, science, calculations. And syempre, sabihin natin, maging pulogaan ng utak pagdating kay civil engineers, while management of personal resources, negotiation, active learning, and monitoring are among the skills listed for construction managers. So, even na you are a manager, dapat magaling ka pa rin. I mean, alam mo yung gawain ng isang civil engineer. Kasi dito, definition dito, management of personal resources. Yan. Negotiation, active learning, monitoring lang naman yung katangian ng isang construction managers. Pero, mabigat yan, syempre, since you are a manager. A person with either educational background can develop into a good construction project manager. Example, a master builder yon. So, master builder is, na-discuss naman siya doon sa previous discussion. So, dapat alam niyo yan. However, the construction manager appears to possess an advantage in that his or her curriculum is specifically designed to prepare a student to work as a builder. So, si construction managers pala is dapat inire-ready niya, piniprepare niya yung student niya to become a master builder. So, sa madaling sabi, parang ano lang pala dito si construction manager, parang teacher siya ng isang, let's say, civil engineer to become a master builder. Ayan. Courses could be added to the civil engineering curriculum to better prepare students to be master builder. So yun, bukod lang doon sa construction manager, may courses nagdaman. Yan. But current civil engineering curriculums often require in excess of 135 credit hours, whereas construction management programs often require only 120 credit hours. Ayun. Ayan, dito sa conclusion. So there is no doubt about the ability of interested civil engineers to become successful construction managers. Given a proper training in business, legal, and personal areas, or as a result of significant work experience in construction, how significant engineering education is toward becoming a successful construction managers is open to question. Ayan. So you can self-read na lang to kasi parang ito yung conclusion na to is nandun siya sa mga previous discussions. So kung nakinig kayo, malamang naintindihan nito. So yan, many civil engineers have discovered that a Master of a Business Administration, MBA, is a plus for their career kasi they move upward in their organization. So ayun, so dapat yun nga, di ba doon sa kanina yung kung babalikan natin yung duman sa ating table na dapat active learning ka, dapat open ka sa lahat ng mga opportunities, sa lahat ng mga learning na pwede mo pang mag-gain. Ayun, like yan na nga, a business administration. So, okay, balik tayo. It is questionable if MBA assists an engineer in becoming a better engineer, but it often assists him or her in becoming a better overall professional. Okay? An MBA often allows an engineer to more effectively manage people and resources, which are skills that must be mastered for an individual to move upward and assume a leadership role within most organizations. A master builder of Vision 2025 is not a new concept. The effort to better prepare engineers for business leadership roles can be traced back to the early 1900s. So ayan, parang back to history tayo dito ng isang master builder. Sabi dito, from Alexander Humphreys, book ata to ni Mex since 1988, speaking on business training for the business and its needs to learn to consider return on investment. Wait lang. Shortcut ako. Okay. Business training for the engineer address that need for the young engineer to accommodate himself to business and its needs to learn, consider return on investments. So parang nakasaad dito na dapat magtalaga ka ng project, gumawa ka ng project kapag may return on investment to. Di ba? Like a road, syempre, malaking pakinabangan ng road, may return of investment talaga yan, di ba? Like a farm to market, or at least naging asset yung road para kumita, di ba? In the 1920s, civil profession to deal with non-technical issues, sabi ni Mex since 1988, the dismissal of Arthur P. response to the allegation, the dismissal of Arthur P. Davis, the former president of ASCE, from the U.S. Reclamation Service in 1923 in response to the allegation that civil engineers were not competent to function as managers or run as a business, started significant protest from civil engineers. Sabi yan sa book ata ni Mex since 1988. So sabi nakasaad dito na ang mga civil engineers siguro sa mga taon na to are not too competent to function as a manager or run as a business. So parang sa time na to, civil engineer is only a planning, designing, construction lang. But in terms of managing and business, syempre, is hindi pa siya ganon kilala. So ayan, the master builder concept would be more beneficial if its intention were to produce civil engineers with construction knowledge that would enable designers to create more economical, constructible, and sustainable buildings and infrastructure. So yun talaga yung gawain ng master builder. So para bang from the construction managers, master builder, civil engineer, and the rest yung mga workers na. Ayun na. Ayan. So, however, it is difficult to imagine the value of even most civil engineers becoming master builders. Ayan. Okay. Civil engineering is a broad field of study with numerous areas of concentration, including transportation, geotechnical, environmental, water resources, and many others. So, yan yung mga parang mga field na ginagawa ng isang civil engineer. Okay. Education of civil engineers needs to remain general in nature instead of narrowly focusing on the skill sets associated with one small portion of the field. The skill sets related to construction profession are far different and much more specialized than those needed by average engineer to work successfully in most civil positions. So, ayun na nga talaga. Parang sinasabi nito na if you are a civil engineer, is dapat mag-aday ka pa para maging maurag ka sa pag-building ng mga houses, mga bridges, anything construction profession, dapat tig-adayan mo lang siya. Yeah. Okay, the master builder concept appears unlikely to be accepted within the AAC communities, especially if the educational focus of civil engineering remains fixed on a technical curriculum that excludes all but a bare minimum of management courses. Ayan. Construction management will continue to evolve as a profession. The currently less established status of construction management as a profession will continue to create entry-level opportunities for people from different educational backgrounds. So ayun, nakasad yun sa previous discussion, especially from closely related engineering disciplines. As the construction profession becomes more mature, legal, judicial, educational, and licensing barriers will be created to achieve an even more exclusive status, similar to that which currently exists for civil engineers today.